Welcome to the Michel'le Show. This is your boy Michel'le. As promised, I'm here to talk about R&B Divas LA. This is episode 5. This one was called Divas Divided. And divas were just that, completely 100% divided on this episode. Remember that you can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Tumblr, and right here on YouTube at Michel'le, J-O, V as in Victor, O-N-L-A-C-H-E-Y. Be sure to click that like button, and please do subscribe to my channel here. I will greatly appreciate that. So let us jump into this episode here. Again, this was a great episode. We're up to episode 5 now, and this particular season only has 8 episodes, which is kind of unfortunate because the drama has actually started on the show right now. Twitter blew up again, and people's main focus on Twitter tonight was Kelly Price and a lot of the diva antics that she portrayed tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I think Kelly may have lost a few loyal fans that she may have had, and this may actually be hurting her brand more than it's actually helping her brand here. So the episode kicks off with Little Mo talking to her husband Phil about potential new music and the direction that she wants her sound to develop into. She says that she doesn't want people to think of her as the old Little Mo that we all knew because people already know her, but that she's rebirthing herself and she wants to try something totally new, totally something different there. Then they also float around the idea of Phil becoming the musical director for the monologues that are going to be taking place. Maybe he'll just be her musical director, or potentially he'll be the musical director for all the other ladies throughout the monologues as well. So the song that she was singing, I think it was called Millions if I'm not mistaken. I have to be honest, I wasn't familiar 100% with that song, but I do think it's a song that she had recorded previously, and it did sound good. Then she goes on to say that she is a better singer than most of the greats that everybody refers to. She said that for a top 10 list that she sings better than at least 8 of those people on the top 10 list. So she can chirp. So I won't say top 10, but top 20, top 30 maybe, Little Mo. Not top 10, because, you know, a lot of people came before you. You know who I'm talking about, though. Alright, so they had a funny moment with her and Phil. Phil said when he was talking to her, you know, she had her hand doing similar to what I'm doing when you're talking, you know, you talk with the hand motions. And he was saying, your hands stink. He said, I don't want to say that your hands were stinking before, but what was that was on your hand? And she said that she was scratching her feet. They had a little funny husband-wife moment there, so that was funny. So then it cuts to Dawn. You know, Dawn is having problems with conceiving a child, so she actually went to a infertility specialist to talk about, you know, what her issues are and what her options are. So the doctor, he goes on and he tells her that, you know, women are born with all of the eggs that they're ever going to have, and so you don't get any new eggs. Unlike men, we produce new sperm all the time, so that's why we can have kids all the way up until our 70s and 80s and everything. But women, on the other hand, they're only born with a set amount of eggs, and those are the eggs that they're going to have. So Dawn is 47 years old, so the eggs that she had inside of her, they're 47 years old. So her eggs, as the doctor told her, they're old, and he referred to them as potentially being rotten. And I didn't like that term, but the eggs are old. So he told her that's going to be a hard time for her to actually conceive, and that conception for a woman at her age is actually less than 1%. He did lay out the options to her, so she had the options to try to have the baby naturally herself. Then he also threw out the option of actually having an egg donor. And Dawn wasn't feeling that at all, and I didn't feel that either. And I agree with her on the fact that getting that egg from someone else, that's not your egg. That's someone else's child that you would be carrying, and that child wouldn't have anything similar to you. You would just, and that's just be an incubator for that baby. So I'm glad that Dawn is talking about, you know, her infertility issues on here. I think that's a bigger issue than what we, particularly in the African American community, realize. You know, nowadays, women in particular, A lot of them are highly educated. A lot of them have very good jobs. So a lot of them have opted to hold off having children. You know, a lot of women put their time and their effort into their careers during their 20s and in their 30s, and then once they get into their late 30s and 40s, they're actually at a point where they're ready to have children, and they may not be able to do that. So thank you again to TV1 and for Dawn sharing her story on R&B Divas LA about infertility issues. I'm quite sure and I hope that this will spark a conversation amongst people within the African American community, because this issue just doesn't affect other people, it actually affects us as well. So then all of the ladies, they actually get together for the first time. All of them were there to talk with Fred about the monologue. So allegedly they were going to be having a rehearsal at this very first meeting, but a rehearsal did not happen. But what did happen was confrontation erupted. So Kelly, she blew up. I mean, she just totally erupted. She jumped up out of her seat. She got in Fred's face and telling him that she don't know him, so she feels like she can't trust him. And she's like, well, can you do this? Can you do that? Can I trust you with my earliest childhood memories? And she then revealed that she was molested at the age of 3 years old by a cousin of hers while her mom was at the hospital giving birth to her younger sister. So I believe all the ladies on here now have suffered some type of sexual abuse. Again, another common issue, but one of those issues that we do not like to talk about. I didn't realize that every one of these women on this show was going to have some type of experience with sexual abuse or with physical abuse, but those stories are coming out. And that's why I think that these monologues are a good idea. I wanted to say were, but they are a good idea just so that these type of issues can have a platform to be spoken upon, because a lot of people out here really are hurting and they haven't been healed from things that happened to them when they were a child. And unfortunately, like Kelly, some people's earliest memory of some type of trauma is that type of sexual assault or molestation that would occur. But not to excuse that, but to jump back into the story here. So Kelly jumps up into his face and she is just, I mean, going in. Little Mo said it best. She was like, oh, she got Brooklyn, she got Harlem, she got Staten Island. She got real confrontational with Fred. It got in his face. Now, to Fred's credit, Fred, he stood there. He took that like a champ. He didn't flinch. He didn't blink. He just looked Kelly dead in her face and pretty much like, Kelly, what's going on here? Fred is from Philly, so he got that strong Philly backbone. So shouts out to Philly. That's my hometown. So Kelly, she's telling the ladies after she has this blow up with Fred that she wants to bring in Tori. Tori, the guy that did the Dream Girls project for, what was it called, Hollywood in the Hood. Now I will say this, I'm not feeling Tori coming in to produce a play for anybody. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable with him producing a play at the local high school. He absolutely has nothing on what Fred is bringing to the table. Fred actually is known in the industry and he actually has award nominations in the industry. So bringing in Tori is like bringing in a complete amateur to produce something that could have had Broadway potential. So again, I said this, Kelly really may be messing up her brand rather than helping her brand by being here on this R&B Divas LA. So Kelly, she then busts out in this cry and she says she feels like she doesn't have control over what's happening. Now, if you go back to my very first review of R&B Divas LA, I pointed that out that Kelly has an issue with control. Kelly likes to be in charge. Kelly likes to call the shots. If it's not her way, then it's not right. So Kelly actually broke down and started crying because she felt like that she's losing control. I think that she was crying because without her having the control that she desires so much, that by doing this play that she's going to have to become spiritually naked, as she told the ladies from the beginning that they would have to become spiritually naked and be willing to pour out all of their issues and leave it all on the stage there. She's not ready to do that. So she wants to be in control and she wants to tell her story the way that she wants to tell her story. and not really do the work that's required to tell the stories and make this monologues dynamic in the way that it needs to be. And Tori definitely ain't coming in and helping out and getting her to the point where she needs to be. He's just not doing that. Kelly, I have to totally disagree with you on bringing Tori in on that. So this episode was called Divas Divided. So you start seeing a division amongst the divas here. The first division that I'm going to point out is when Dawn and Little Mo, they are at Little Mo's house and they're talking about the aftermath of what happened at the rehearsal with Kelly blowing up on Fred. So Little Mo is kind of, at this point, Team Fred. Dawn is wishy-washy. I don't know if she really wants Fred or not, but at this point in the series, she's Team Kelly, so whatever Kelly is saying, that's what she wants to be done. And so they're talking about that. So Dawn is not really going one way or the other. She's kind of being like, not a mediary, but she's not quite sure as to where she wants to stand. So they talk about it, and you know, Little Mo feels like that they really need to make a decision as to who's going to be the director of this play so they can move forward with it if they really are going to do that. So then they cut, and again they're meeting with Fred and Kelly, but this time it's only Kelly, Shantae, and Little Mo. They're there, and I mean, Kelly's need to be in control is completely obvious. That spirit of control in her is definitely rooted, is grounded in her, and is full grown, and it came across clearly on the screen tonight because she just sat there and she just pretty much confronted the ladies that were there, and she just told them, like, look, this was my idea from the beginning, so now I feel like I have to step in, I have to take control because the idea has gotten away from me and the idea has taken on a life of its own somewhere where she didn't see this idea going to. So she's definitely upset about the idea of moving forward without her. So she slumped. Like, look, I'm the producer of this show. I'm putting out my money for this show, and I'm going to have the final say. So I'm going to bring in who I want to bring in. I'm going to do this the way that I want to do this show. So she gave two nice, jabs tonight. Two nice couple lines that she gave tonight. She told, and they both were directed at Shantae. So she told Shantae, let's be clear about who's running this. And she said, I will be respected. So let's be clear, and I will be respected. So she's talking to Little Mo and to Shantae. Shantae in particular, like she's talking to her kids or something. But then she gave another one. So Shantae, she goes on and she says, well, I'm trying to move forward with this play, and if it has to be a one-woman show, I'll do the show by myself. So Kelly, she rebutted. I'm sorry, but this one was funny. She said, let me know where I can buy a ticket. And so Shantae is like, what you mean? What you say? She said, let me know where I can buy a ticket because you'll be doing that by yourself and I won't be attached to this. Now that one was funny right there. But again, that spirit of control is full grown in Kelly, and she needs to really deal with that. So Little Mo, she was choosing to be silent at this point when Shantae and Kelly is having this confrontation, because Shantae and Kelly, they appear to have been friends, and Little Mo pointed that out, that they were the most friendly of the group before they all collectively came together. So she chose to like kind of remove herself from this and just sit back. Shantae came back, she said, look, I'm not going to be punked. She said, I'm going to be respected too, and I'm going to have my opinion and my voice heard. You're not just going to talk to me any old kind of way. So good for you, Shantae, for standing up for yourself there. So in this episode, we also got an opportunity to meet this mystery man that Dawn has been talking about, Chris. Chris, he's from the United Kingdom. He's from Wales over there. And we got an opportunity to meet him. So they discussed Dawn going to the fertility doctor and her getting the doctor's opinion there. So Chris, he wants to explore all the options as well. And he says that he had a vision of them having their own kids, and they were going to have a boy and a girl, but Dawn says she wants 2 girls. So Chris seems to be very supportive of Dawn, and they really want to have these children together. And I really do wish them the best, and I hope that Dawn does get an opportunity to become a mother in the natural way that she really so much desires there. I do like him, so shout out to them doing that. So Fred and Little Mo, they meet up with along with Lil Mo's husband, and they talk about the Kelly situation. Again, this Kelly situation is taking on a life of its own, and then they talk a little bit more about Phil actually possibly becoming the musical director for this monologues play. I don't know where this monologues is going to go. Hopefully it goes on without a hitch, but from what I'm hearing, that the monologues actually have already taken place and that none of the ladies showed up. It was only Kelly and Dawn. So the other 4 divas, from what I'm hearing and from what I'm reading, they didn't participate in what eventually became these diva logs here. So then it cuts, and Kelly, she shows up with Tori at this final meeting that they had. And Tori, he came in. Of course, Kelly probably had already told him, this is my show, I'm running, I'm bringing you in, you're my guy. Tori, so unprofessional. He's coming in and he has this idea of we're going to do it like this, act 1, scene 2. And he's not trying to get the dialogue out of the women, finding out what their stories actually are. So Fred is telling him, like, look, we got to dig into this thing and we have to put the dialogue down first. So that's the difference between a professional and an amateur, somebody who hasn't done this at a high level before. So that meeting, of course, didn't go wrong. So we'll see what happens next week with the continued quote-unquote production of these monologues here. I think Kelly in particular, she, again, I've said this 2 times already, but she's actually potentially hurting her brand. Kelly Price has a loyal following. Kelly Price probably has a 200 to 500,000 following out there. People who are going to support Kelly Price, come out to Kelly Price show, buy Kelly Price music, do anything that Kelly Price is putting out there. But on Twitter tonight, people just was not feeling Kelly. They was calling her the B word and really saying some things that wasn't really necessary. But the bottom line is people aren't feeling her. A lot of people were tweeting that, oh my gosh, she's about to lose a fan, or that certain celebrities shouldn't do reality shows because you get an opportunity to see what their real personality is. And we're actually getting an opportunity to see a side of Kelly that a lot of people are not feeling. So we'll see how these next 3 episodes progress, and then we'll definitely see what happens on the reunion. This reunion is going to be a juicy one because we'll get to see everything and see how they eventually paint Kelly, and if Kelly kind of apologizes or she talks about her control issues that she has. So thank you all for watching. Again, this is Jovan Lachey. Expect a lot of new things from me. I'm trying to get some new ideas out here. You can follow what I'm doing on Twitter, on YouTube, and also on Tumblr. Everything is at Jovan Lachey, J-O-V as in Victor, O-N-L-A-C-H-E-Y. And until next time, thank you.